it all correctly. It doesn't all correctly.
I'm a mother of 2 girls. I have 5 grandchildren. I'm a Roman Catholic, very involved in the entire church. I attended Whitfield Town Infant School, which was private. Then I went for a year to a prep school on Hanover Street. Not sure of the name of that school. I did my grade 1 there. Then for grade 2, I went to Whitfield All-Age School. That's just up the road from my home. So I actually could go home for lunch in the days. I did all activities at school because I was just down the road, so I was totally involved. Did my common entrance exam at grade 5. Didn't actually go to grade 6, at grade 5. Went to the academy, Alpha Academy. Spent 5 years there. I was not one who would play much. As I said, I lived just down the road from school, so at lunchtime I'd go home for my lunch and be back at school before it was time for class. I played very, very little, but when I did engage in any activities, it was like jacks or maybe a game of baseball, but nothing too strenuous because I hate wet and messy, so my clothes was always neat. I could hang my clothes and wear it back the next day as if it was just prepared. So I did not engage in very much physical activities. My hobbies, I do a bit of reading. I like to create things for children, so I would at times sit and find things that I could put together to create worksheets, to create puzzles, and things that children would like to do. I like plants, although I don't possess a green thumb, but I like to plant. So a lot of the plants I have at home will grow to a certain level. But I think I'll probably have to go into learning how to deal with them, how to get them staying green and flourishing. And so that hobby I really plan to get into, planting. I was extremely good at mathematics from my school days, so that continued with me until today. It was my intention afterwards to go into accounts, and so I applied to the Alpha Commercial College, best in the Caribbean at that time, and was successful in the entry. I opted out to do youth service for 1 year, hoping to go back into studies afterwards. I was captivated by the children, and so I went into teaching. I started teaching in 1976 as a youth service worker. Stayed on at Webster Memorial School, where I started for 7 years. In that time, I did my in-service training, certificate in education, primary education, and right after I applied to a number of schools. Before coming to Jessie, I had actually gotten a job at Marley-Mount Primary School in St. Catherine. Was to begin, and then I was called for the interview here, and I opted to come to Jessie. 1, being a Roman Catholic institution, and 2, the distance I would have to travel if I opted for the other school. So hence I ended up at Jessie Ripoll Primary. September 1983. Have been here since. When I came to Jessie Ripoll, I actually started in grade 2. And to date, I think that has been the best team I've worked with. I started out, we had Mrs. Bennett, Mrs. Thompson, one Miss Sams and myself. Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Bennett are still here, but the other teacher migrated. But we were a team to reckon with. We worked together. I mean, we all were on the same page at all times. We shared everything we had, both at school and personal, and so no one was left behind with us. Well, at Jessie Ripoll, I have taught all grades except grades 1 and 3. So I've been to 2, 4, 5, and 6. Most of my years have been spent between grades 2 and 5. At school, whatever it is that relates to church related, I'm always involved. Whether it be planning a mass, anniversary, or otherwise. Catholic instructions to children, because when I just came to Jessie, we would prepare children for one of the church's sacrament for First Communion, and that I was involved in. We would also have sessions with children, not indoctrinating, but enhancing the faith for the Catholic children, and other children who wanted to be a part were free to join in. There was no level of indoctrination at all. I participate actively in devotion. A group of us Catholic teachers, we ensure that the reflections for each day is prepared. Our readings, our Bible readings for our devotion is from our Catholic readings, and that's the gospel of the day. So our readings are the gospel that's used within the International Catholic Church for the day. I'm in charge of the school's banking program. The stationaries at school, I'm in charge of that, so whether it be checking the stock to see where it's at, or selling stationery to the children at various levels, I do that. I'm in charge of the Catholic club, yes. A group of Catholic teachers are in charge of worship, as it were, rostering persons, preparing the reflections, and I work along with them with that. We plan for anniversary mass and whatever, the group. Personally, I am also the person who the children will come to for every and anything. So, like our newest member of staff, this morning she said to me, "Mrs. Cunningham, do you have everything in your room?" Because everything the children want, and I say, "Okay, go." They said, "Yes, we're going to Mrs. Cunningham because she will have." So whether it be from a pin to an anchor, teachers or children will find me. At church, I am totally involved in every aspect except singing, because I'm not a singer. So I did everything back then, still do just now. I have been church council president. I am an usher, a lector or reader, as we know it. I was in charge of a Sunday school for years before giving up that role. I am involved in almost every aspect of church operation. I am a selfless person. I give of me 100% in whatever I do. And that shows in my involvement in a number of things. I never say no. I find it difficult to say no. And so I am always willing and open to assist in whatever way possible. Currently, I am a part of a group that's involved in the ministry at Catholic schools. It's called the Catholic Schools Ministry. I am involved in that group, so I expect, yes, to come back maybe to Jessie to assist, with continuing the Catholic ethos in our schools. And with that, I definitely will be around. I will be involved in other places because I have been for years a member of the school board of the St. Peter Primary School, and so there I impact you know, children, teachers at that school. And I'm involved actively in church work because I'm a part of a catechetical team that does work island-wide. Not just in the Archdiocese of Kingston, but island-wide. My greatest influence was Miss Rena Wolf of blessed memory. And you see, I get emotional when I speak of her. As I said, she was like my mother. She was a great inspiration to me. She was a people person. She thought first of persons and not just herself. The first years at Jessie Ripoll, she showed me how to treat people. And you know, I can remember like coming to summertime when it was hot. Miss Wolf would go get melon and she would cut that up at the canteen, and she'd have the prefects go around to teachers, and each teacher got a slice of melon or a glass of lemonade. And so she had a great impact on me because she taught me how to treat people. So my greatest memory at Jessie Ripoll still is Miss Rena Wolf. I am naturally, as I say, a people person, and my passion came from my aunt. She would say to me, give of your best to anyone you meet at all times. And in addition, she'd say to me, whatever you do to people, whether it's good or bad, it multiplies and it comes back to you. And she encouraged me to do good. In addition, as I said, when I started at Jessie Ripoll, Miss Wolf had a deep impact on me because of her personality. And with that, didn't matter the trials you would go through, it didn't matter what happened, her words strengthened me at all times. I saw her going through some things that she would stand up and still be strong. And those things strengthened me. And so I can say my aunt and Miss Rena Wolf had the greatest impact on me. Miss Wolf as a teacher. The changes now in education, you know, to me, it enables the children to be more critical thinkers because we are now preparing them for being 21st century learners. And I think it is much, much better than before. Before you had mainly the chalk and talk, the reading. Now children are grossly involved because they are engaged at every step of the lessons. And so I think it will make them a better person, a more rounded person, because it takes in all aspects of life. Physical, mental, it just captures the entire being. So for me, education now is, yes, it's harder for some teachers, they deem, but for me, with children being more involved, it will be better for the learner. For young teachers, dedication is key. It's not just a job where you go in and do what you have to do and then be out. It requires much more than the classroom, being in the classroom. The child should see you as not just teacher, but mother, you know, someone who they can meet on the road and they are not afraid to call to you. Someone who can talk to them and they don't feel as if it's someone who is going to be shouting at them or, you know, barking at them and causing them to run away when they see you. So for me, I would encourage the younger teachers to befriend the children, be their friend, and not just their teacher. I am an early riser, and so I'll rise at 2, 3, 4. When Miss Detry was here as principal, and sometimes now still, we'd correspond right throughout the night. And people would ask, teachers here would ask, do you and Miss Detry ever sleep? Because you're always online. Yes, Miss Detry and I spoke a lot. We did a lot together online, on the phone, on the computer. And so my day starts very, very, very early. I get up in the mornings, I do my personal devotion. Then I have some Bible readings that I share with a number of persons. Those readings are the Roman Catholic readings for the day. And so I share it with persons, a number of persons, even who are not Roman Catholics, because they look forward to it. And if I ever don't send it out, I can remember one morning stopping at the fruits stall and Mr. Johnny said, Miss Warm today, may I get my thing yet? Because he looks forward to getting his morning readings. And so I get into my early devotion and I get on the computer to do something for school. And by 5 o'clock I start getting ready because I leave home the latest 4:45. I am here at school most times before 6 or a little after 6. I hate the traffic, so I try to beat it. But I'm here first person most of the times. The children. Yes, I have made some great friendships here, and I have bonded with a number of persons. As I said before, Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Bennett were among the first persons I worked with, and we still maintain that bond. Mrs. Bennett has never over the years forgotten my birthday. I can look forward to my birthday card. January 6th, every year I can look forward to that card coming, whether before, on the day, or a day or so after, depending on when we come back to school. But she has never ever forgotten, and we try to maintain that between us. Other teachers, yes, and I have impacted some younger teachers. There are some younger teachers who have worked with me, and they talk much about our relationship, me grooming them into certain things. Miss Panton, for one, she will tell you, boy, Connie, I'm so happy I came and started with you because I learned this from you and I learned that from you. So there are a number of persons who have really grown to bond with, and so I will miss those persons very, very much. Yes, the children too, from grade 1 right up to 6. There are children who will just come and hug. They won't say a word, they'll just come and hug. And so that I'll miss here. Not that it doesn't exist elsewhere, because it does exist at church, but my daily Monday to Friday hug and all of that, I'll certainly miss. When I started at Jessie Ripoll was deemed the prep primary school in the island, and so people would pass by on South Camp, not knowing there's a school here. They would just see children moving about, and so the children were very disciplined, very, very disciplined. You didn't have to talk to them; they just see you, and they do what they knew they had to do. When a teacher entered the staircase, if a child looks to enter and see the teacher, they'd stand back and allow the teacher to go whether up or down before they start their trick. No, it doesn't exist like that. You are pushed down the stairs or up if you are, whichever direction you're going. And so that and other levels of discipline has just been eroded. But then it's a societal problem. And so we here at Jessie Ripoll have to take a grip of the erosion of discipline and start devising ways of giving incentives, because I think first we have to recognize the ones who comply and give those incentives. That will, I am sure, attract the other indisciplined ones to want to emulate. In addition, we are going to have to find ways of modifying the behavior, the behavior of others. Honestly, I've not given it any serious thought, especially in recent times, knowing I'd be out, but we really have to go into some behavior modification. Granted, when I started, people could, flog, because I can remember children really, the rod not being spared for them, because they knew that if they didn't do this or they didn't do that when they go to school, they'd certainly feel something, even from the principal. And at that time, principals could beat the children. Teachers were also allowed to, but over time, rules have changed, laws have changed, and so that has changed. But there are ways of modifying behavior, and so we're going to have to get really creative in modifying the behavior, especially of some children who seem to need to be in a boot camp for some time to modify their behavior. Oh my gosh. Okay, on that day, it was Children's Day, all right? And so we all decided to be children. Of course. Of course, I didn't want a full uniform, so I told them it would be my PE day. So I wore PE top and skirt on that day. Wow. It felt like being back in school. Socks, shoes, whatever. Yes. So it felt like being back at school. But I enjoyed the day. The children were amused at seeing us dressed the way they are dressed. Some teachers in ribbon. Yes, I wasn't in ribbon, but the children really were amused, at our dressing on V-Day. There's so many, I can't even remember most of them. But just in recent times in the entertainment world, the gentleman who was the Rising Star second runner-up, JL, I taught him, and we have never separated. We still keep in contact. There's another who is called Hot Stepper. He's a poet, and just the other day, recently he came here. And I got the biggest hug you could think of and squeeze. Have a picture with him still. There are a number of others, but you don't see them regularly. But when you do see them, it's just as usual. I'd like to be remembered just as simple me. Whatever people want to remember of me. I tell you, my joy is seeing the growth of the students I've taught and to see them excelling. And whether they excel academically or not, just to see them move from one level to the next is great joy.
What's the unit we use to measure liquid? We can use kiloliter for what? A vast amount of liquid, all right? So we measure length and we measure liquid. What else? What else do we measure? We measure weight. What instrument do we use to measure weight? We use a scale. And what units do we use now? We use grams. Very good, Ricardo. We use grams. And so we can measure in grams or what else? Milligrams or kilograms. Very good, very good.